With this announcement, Trump also signed an executive order to create so-called gold cards for foreigners willing to pay $1 million to live and work in the U.S. permanently. Let's turn now to a story about organ donation and harvesting, and the thorny issues that arise when a donor, written off and prepped for surgery, actually shows signs of life. Organ transplants are saving a growing number of lives in the U.S. every year, with more than 48,000 transplants performed in 2024 alone. Yet a number of reports have revealed issues. A federal investigation into a Kentucky nonprofit, for example, found that over the course of 4 years, medical providers had planned to harvest organs of dozens of patients despite signs of neurological activity. Though the operations didn't take place, it has led federal health officials to promise an overhaul of the system. Kara Anthony is a Midwest health correspondent for KFF Health News. She told us about one case out of St. Louis in 2019 that took a dramatic turn when a neurosurgeon named Dr. Zoni stopped an organ harvesting moments before it was set to occur.
He runs quite breathlessly into the OR saying, "Get him off the table. This is my patient. He shouldn't be here."
The patient was 22-year-old Larry Black Jr., who had arrived at the hospital with a gunshot wound to his head and was placed in a medically induced coma.
It was his medical opinion that it was too soon for Larry to be even considered as an organ donor candidate because he hadn't done a brain death exam. Larry's heart was still beating, and he was really certain that Larry had a chance at life.
Anthony said that it's still not totally clear how Black ended up in the operating room under the conditions that he did. The hospital declined to comment on the details of this case to KFF Health News. Black attests that he attempted to communicate while in the coma.
He desperately tried to show his family that he was still there, that he could hear them, even though he couldn't speak. He attempted several times to tap on the side of the bed. But when the family raised this and told the nurses and different hospital staffers what was going on, it was written off as involuntary, that possibly it was a reaction to the medicine that he was given.
Zoni says looking at scans of Black's brain led him to believe that he could potentially recover with the help of therapy, and that's exactly what happened. Black still has some health issues today, but recovered his ability to walk and talk, and is now a musician and father of 3. Anthony stressed that stories like this shouldn't put people off organ donation.
I interviewed one doctor who said it's not one thing that a medical professional did or didn't do, that we have an issue in medicine at large, and it's going to take time to fix, and it's okay to speak about the stories that we're hearing, to talk about these things, even if they're hard to listen to, even if they're scary to listen to.
Zoni, meanwhile, is working on new research to help quantify human consciousness, a crucial question to answer in determining whether someone should be declared brain dead and therefore suitable for organ donation. Before we let you go, a few other stories we're following. Jimmy Kimmel is back, sort of. Disney announced the late-night host would be returning to duties starting tonight after making the decision to suspend him last week for comments related to Charlie Kirk. But Sinclair, one of the country's biggest owners of local stations, said ABC affiliates would preempt the show, airing news programming in the time slot instead. In their statement, Disney said they had made the decision to suspend Kimmel to, quote, avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. And it said they reached the decision to bring him back after days of thoughtful conversations with Jimmy. NVIDIA, the world's most valuable company, has announced a huge investment deal with OpenAI, the firm behind ChatGPT. NVIDIA will supply the high-performance chips ChatGPT needs to expand, committing to put up to $100 billion. The deal will allow OpenAI to build at least 10 gigawatts of NVIDIA systems. The Wall Street Journal reports that the amount of electricity required is roughly comparable to what's produced by more than 4 Hoover dams, or the power consumed by 8 million homes. And finally, what is cute, furry, and outpacing some of the most successful IPOs in the world, including NVIDIA, for that matter? The answer is Build-A-Bear. The Washington Post reports that over a 5-year period, the company's stock price has surged more than 2,000%. While these gains are coming from an all-time low in 2020, analysts project that Build-A-Bear will actually keep growing, despite the toy industry writ large dealing with the impact of tariffs. The company attributes its success to its in-store experience of assembling your own personalized teddy, and renewed interest from adults who are attracted to collectibles and cross-brand deals. One collector told the Post that her parents couldn't afford the toys when she was a kid, and now it's nice to be able to splurge a little. You can find all these stories and more in the Apple News app. And if you're already listening in the News app right now, we've got a narrated article coming up next. New York Magazine has been exploring the colorful online world of Roblox and asks whether it's becoming a hyper-commercial dystopia for its population of kid gamers. If you're listening in the podcast app, follow Apple News Plus Narrated to find that story, and I'll be back with the news tomorrow.
Once again have a great co-host with me, Michelle Lee.
Hey everyone, I am Michelle Lee, your guest host for the week. I went to grad school with Andre, also studying AI, and now I am the founder and CEO of Medra, which is a physical AI startup based in San Francisco.
Right, and we can kind of do a quick bit of news on that. You just announced your big launch milestone for the company, so go ahead and feel free to let people know more about Medra for that.
Medra AI, we're a physical AI company for life sciences. We're building the physical AI infrastructure that powers the scientific frontier. Our physical AI platforms can do lab work inside life science companies and generate a lot of experimental data, which then in turn can help train frontier and foundation models in sciences, and also help our partners be able to find cures to disease faster.
Yeah, so working with a bunch of robot arms. I just saw them recently doing a lot of pipetting and whatnot. I don't really know the details. Somewhat in theme with that, we'll have in this episode quite a few stories about robotics actually. There's a lot going on with humanoids, a lot going on with stuff like cars, even with foundation models, so you can look forward to some discussion on that front. Before we get into it, real quick, I do want to acknowledge for regular listeners, the output has been inconsistent lately. As I've said, Jeremy has been busy with work and whatever else he's up to, so as always, I promise to try and make it more consistent, but just bear with us, please. Let's go ahead and start with the news. In tools and apps, the first story is OpenAI upgrades Codex with a new version of GPT-5. So they now have GPT-5 Codex, which is just GPT-5, but better for coding, is what it sounds like. It is now available if you're using the Codex CLI or the Codex IDE tool. You can switch from using regular GPT-5 to GPT-5 Codex. And also if you're using a web agent, it's now powered by GPT-5 Codex. So pretty significant news given that it looks like OpenAI is trying to catch up to Anthropic and be a competitor to Cloud Code, where they're a little bit behind, is my impression.
Yeah, I think right now, definitely talking to software developers, the general consensus is that Cloud Code is still the best tool out there. So it's very interesting to see OpenAI release new tools and better tools to make it more powerful for coding tasks.
Yeah, and people have been a little angry at Anthropic lately due to infra issues. So from like a business strategy, I think OpenAI has a real opportunity to get some confidence. If you go look on Reddit or Twitter, there's a bit of sentiment of like, oh, I've switched to Codex now, it's great. I'm trying it out.
And say they have tours like every day.
Next up, we have Google injects Gemini into Chrome as AI browsers go mainstream. So pretty much what it sounds like, they now have a version of Chrome where on the top right, there's a little Gemini button. Click on it and you can ask questions about the tab, talk to Gemini, potentially later go into more agentic tasks. Very much in line with what we've been seeing from Perplexity, from the browser company, like integrating chatbots into the browser. Also, Anthropic recently had their Chrome extension. So it seems like just a matter of time till this happened. Actually, it took Google a bit long to do this, if anything, but definitely taking us towards a future where you just have a chatbot literally in every single piece of software you ever use.
Yeah, I wonder if it took them a while because of also all the competitiveness issues that Google's facing with Chrome, because this is definitely gives them a huge competitive advantage that they own both the browser with Chrome, one of the most popular browsers, and also now can integrate that directly with their AI.
Yeah, right. Perplexity did try to buy Chrome or make a bid for it. So I guess that tracks.
Yeah. Have you tried using any of these browser-based AI?
Actually, I did use ChatGPT Agent a little bit. So ChatGPT Agent isn't like browser plugin or anything, but it does browse the web for you and do stuff. And I found it to be pretty powerful. Like things that you could not do otherwise. It can go and open your Google Doc and click on links and go and do it for like half an hour, which is pretty impressive. So I could see these being like an even easier way to automate stuff you do via prompt instead of anything else.
Yeah, that's interesting. I tried Dia for a little bit and just didn't find it smooth enough, really, or didn't find that it brought enough value, but I'd be interested in checking out Gemini directly in Chrome.
And next we go to Anthropic. They have a new feature in Claude. It can now make you spreadsheets or PDFs, which I think is actually pretty different. Like, I don't know that ChatGPT or others can make it. Seemingly, they're like...
can do PowerPoints. I don't know about spreadsheets, but because OpenAI has such a strong collaboration with Microsoft, I believe they were able to roll out a lot of features with Microsoft's 365 pretty early.
Oh, nice. Well, in Claude now, there's an experimental feature called upgraded file creation and analysis. It sounds like they might be running like a little Cloud Code agent within it, that if you upload a file, it can do agentic stuff to it. So yeah, if you're working with spreadsheets or PowerPoints or PDFs, this should really make Claude more powerful for that. And just one last story in the section, we've got a new video model. This one is from Luma, and it is their ray-free model. What they are saying is an AI reasoning video model, which is kind of interesting. They say it's using reasoning power to create AI video clips with more complex action sequences. I don't know if that means that it interleaves video creation with reasoning, or pretty steady kind of progression in video creation for the last year or two. Now you're able to get clips in 20 seconds here and up-res them if you want. As with any of these video models, you really have to go and look at the previews to see the improved clarity, prompt visibility, all those kinds of things.
Yeah, interesting that it calls itself its first reasoning video model, because I highly doubt that all the other video models don't use reasoning at all.
Yeah, it's hard to know to what extent extent this is kind of marketing speak, and to what extent this is architectural or other things like that. This is coming, I guess, with Google having released Via Free, I don't know how long ago, but not too long ago, and being very impressive and very powerful. So it's getting increasingly competitive.
Definitely.
Onto applications and business. And as usual, or I guess as often is the case, we begin with OpenAI having some very businessy kinds of updates. So for the past year or something like that, we've been trying to go for profit, as we've covered over many months, have had many legal struggles, and now there's a bit of an update on it. Apparently OpenAI secured Microsoft's blessing for the transition to the for-profit. So they have now this memorandum of understanding, so kind of a unofficial agreement, so to speak, where they have terms that they are agreeing upon, where they will retain some sort of relationship, but it'll be not quite as exclusive as OpenAI and Microsoft has had, I guess, prior to 2025. We've seen them become a little more antagonistic over time as they've tried to transition to for-profit. Let's see, is there anything else to say here?
No, it's like memorandum of understanding. I
There's
feel
not many
like
details here.
yeah, it just sounds like some interesting updates, maybe to help with fundraising, maybe to just produce some more news.
Fucking Travis.
Yeah, there's not really many details here. All we know is apparently this is ending months of negotiation, and this was stated in a joint statement. So presumably behind the scenes, this involved a lot of back and forth, and is kind of a significant update for OpenAI because they are under the gun to do this for-profit transition. They announced wanting to do it early this year. They still haven't done it. You know, they're in a tough spot, and if they don't complete this transition, they're in real trouble. And related to that, we have the next story. Microsoft is going to apparently lessen its reliance on OpenAI by buying AI from Anthropic. So they are going to integrate Anthropic into their Office 365 applications. Presumably it's going to be kind of a way to pick your models as you use AI. And at least according to this article, and presumably reasonable speculation, this is related to whatever tensions are currently existing between Microsoft and OpenAI.
Well, maybe this makes sense why the new cloud models now can work with Office 365 applications. And it looks like also OpenAI is also working to reduce their dependency on Microsoft by also working with AI chips, other cloud providers. So it sounds like both parties are trying to lessen their reliance and lessen their partnership.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, OpenAI did just sign a massive contract with Oracle. Oracle's stock to jump quite a bit. So as OpenAI, we've covered a lot on this podcast. They have, if you're like into business drama, OpenAI is a never-ending fountain of business drama and sort of interesting developments, and this is just the latest of that. Moving on to slightly less, let's say, boring or businessy news, we've got some stories on robotics. First up, we have Figure AI. They are passing $1 billion in committed capital with their Series C funding round, which would make their post-money valuation $39 billion. Figure is one of the several humanoid robotics startups that are fairly new. I forget how old Figure is, but they must be from 2023-ish. You know, obviously pre-revenue, they're still more or less an R&D lab at this point, so pretty cool to see the venture funds still being committed to funding these very ambitious humanoid robotics bets that are seemingly making a lot of progress. Well, I can see it. Maybe Michelle, you have a take on this.
Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing really exciting new models come out of physical intelligence. Dyna Robotics just launched with their new fundraise, so very exciting to see more funding going into robotics, and also very exciting to see, especially more and more efforts into hardware, which has been very much a bottleneck right now in robotics. How do we actually have better hands, better human or robots? 6 years ago, if you wanted a human or robot to do research, you would have to be in a select few universities around the world that actually have access to human or robots. And now we have several human companies all trying to build better hardware. So it's very exciting, which I guess will lead to the next news.
Exactly, yeah. The next news is about China's Unitree, which is already planning an IPO, apparently. So they are saying that the company might be valued at up to $7 billion. Unitree, if you haven't seen, lately has been big in humanoids. They've unveiled this kind of mini humanoid that is quite affordable and quite capable. And I believe they also were pretty